All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all to another episode of CEO Unplugged. I'm Greg T from KTU from Carolina, Bermudez, with Greg T in the morning. And in so many of these episodes, we get a chance to sit down and get an up close and personal exclusive with some CEOs that you might be familiar with, a big box retailer. All of a sudden it's like we talk about their merchandise that they're selling, but today it's different. This CEO is very, very cool. He actually invented something that saves lives. And that is what's so neat and so different about today's episode of CEO Unplugged. So I don't know if many of you have heard about it, and I really hope that you have. And if you haven't, then I really hope that you inform somebody that is a big decision maker where you're at, because you're all going to want to get your hands on what's called the LifeVac. You can check it out at www.lifevac.net. And I'm telling you, rush over and check it out today because this saves lives. So enough now. We move on. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring him on out. He is the inventor, the creator, the CEO of LifeVac, and his name, Arthur Lee. Mr. Lee, thank you very much for being with us today.
You know, that was the best introduction I ever had because it's not really about me. It's about the fact that I invented something that'll save a life. And the way you passionately put it forward makes me feel really good and grateful. So thank you.
Listen, no thanks. And this is great. And you're right. I'm really interested in what what you're doing with LifeVac, how you came about LifeVac, how did it all come out, and I'm very interested in knowing about how many lives you've saved up to this point. So just let's get started and tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? How did this idea come about?
Well, along the lines of the CEO part, I had built up a shipping company with a partner. And at 47, I was able to sell it and basically was going to retire. My Mass Peak home was looking pretty good.
Yeah.
But the situation happened. I visited a friend. His mom was having an operation. So I just went to keep him company. And we were sitting in the waiting room. And he pointed over at one of those steel cold gurneys. And he told me that the last time he was there was a 7-year-old child on that gurney that had died, was dead, choked to death. Now, my daughter was 7. And because of the atmosphere, I'm in a hospital, it's cold, I'm focused, I'm feeling it. He started to explain the trauma, the wailing of the mother, the pain of the attendees, the EMS, the doctors, and the husband. And it really made me see my daughter there. And I was confused because I took the course. You do the Heimlich, you do back blows, it'll be okay.
Right.
And I was allowed to see that it doesn't always work. And I have one child, my daughter, she's my life. And I said, that can't happen. I cannot survive my daughter dying in my arms. So I went home that night and started researching forces and how often and what how the Heimlich works. What's the force generated by squishing the body?
Right, really, yeah.
Yeah, and that set forth the mission first to save my daughter, right? That was my primary mission.
Of course.
And the humanity crept in and said, how am I going to read about a kid that choked to death and know I could save my kid, but you couldn't save yours? I don't think we love our children differently. We all love with everything we have.
Sure.
And my brain said, I love her so much. How could I let someone else? Now, I didn't know anything about medical products. I didn't know anything about the medical industry. I didn't know anything about the FDA. I didn't know how I was going to test it, but I knew I had to do it. And that was the beginning of the 11-year journey to where we are now.
Oh wow, 11 years. Wow, that's what? Listen, that is quite a journey, but it tells me that you tried and tried and tried again till eventually you got it right. Tell me about the early stages of LifeVac. Where did I'm sure you hit some roadblocks along the way. Tell me about something like that.
Well, the first challenge was I started researching because I knew that it's something stuck, right?
Sure.
So what is it? It's force, right? It's not a medical problem. I'm not curing cancer. I'm moving something stuck. So I focused first on studies that showed me how stuck it was and how much force I needed to move it. Then I said, okay, I'm a panicked father. I need something really simple. If it gets too complicated, I'm going to screw it up, you
Right,
know?
you get nervous, right? Of course.
So my first prototype started to get too complicated. So I chucked them because I was
Okay.
to something that I could do panic proof. And one night I just taken one with a CO2 cartridge that I was playing with and said, no, too complicated. I was getting frustrated.
Okay.
I said, plumbers unclog pipes. I'm going to go to Home Depot and I'm just going to look and see what they have. And you know what they have at Home Depot? A little sink plunger.
Right.
So the first one was a sink plunger from Home Depot. And in Home Depot, I put it on my face and saw if I could create a suction.
Yeah.
And it created a nice pop. And
Wow.
that was the beginning of the evolution to creating, because the key was then the plunger pushes down. You
Right.
see
That's
that?
what I'm thinking immediately. It's what I'm thinking right now. Right.
You see that great system?
I do.
All right. So the key to the design was that when you push this down, the air
Right.
shoots up the side. And if you hit the
Right.
route, there's a ball valve in there. So you push down, air goes out the side, it locks. You hear that pop?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the cool thing was the first time I got my little glued together duct tape one to work, my little 7-year-old was right there with me. And we put it on the dummy on our Charlie.
Yeah.
Say hello, Charlie.
And look at
And
that.
I popped it out
Okay.
and I said, I got it. And then the moral dilemma began. I could save my kid. How could I not go forward and save others?
Wow.
And that was the process from that moment to, actually selling it, getting it out there was about 5.5 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Now, I
Yeah.
also read somewhere now that you've patented that entire valve system. Is that correct?
Yeah, the patent is on the valve and the ability to use a bellows like this for suction. So
Amazing.
yeah, but that was 4.5 years.
Let me tell you, you're right. When someone is choking, there is that tendency to immediately panic. You're like, oh my God, what do you do? Because at first you might think, oh, they're kidding. But when you realize like they're not kidding, you don't even know what to do. But then you immediately think, oh my God, I'm gonna bang his back, I'm gonna bang the back, and that is not gonna work. Then you think, no, Heimlich, Heimlich. But I have read how hard you have to push in order to get that Heimlich maneuver down. So with this, there is a slight tendency to not be as panicked now because there is the plunger effect. It goes right over the person's mouth, and then with the new system that you have where the air blows out, and then it's pulling back out with the suction. I think it's brilliant.
Well, I appreciate that, and to some extent, I agree. Only because it is simple, and what you said. There's a couple things, especially now. We've saved over 1,300 lives. All these are pictures of
Oh,
people
so
we've.
everybody behind you, you've saved everybody all their lives. Wow.
All these people.
Wow. Wow, incredible. I listen, I'm congratulate. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That is something to hang your hat on. Wow. That's
this is
great.
called the LifeVac Hall of Saves, and we document every save, and then we ideally we get a picture of the actual person or child, and this is where the ability to persevere no matter what comes sitting
Wow.
in this room.
Wow.
And we saved zero when we sold it, zero lives, zero lives, zero lives, 7, 15, 37, 56,
Sure.
156, and now we're at 1,300. Check this out. We're coming
Wow.
up. We're coming up on our 900th child. 900 kids are still here. Isn't that
Amazing.
awesome?
I'm telling you, the numbers are astounding. I did
Yeah.
not recognize. I kind of had a hunch that there was something there, about all the pictures. So I was going to actually ask you. One of my questions was going to be something about, the people that are behind you. But then you told me, and I am disbelief how many photos you have of people that you've saved their lives. That is just amazing.
Yeah.
Now, another thing I read about you was that you have this initiative now to actually have LifeVac put into every single school across America. Can you tell me a little something about that?
Yeah, since I started, I put it on Google Alerts, and every year we lose somewhere between 5 and almost 10 kids choked to death in school every single year. So since I started, we're coming up on 100 kids that have choked to death. And I've always screamed out loud, and particularly for our kids with disabilities that may have no option because they're in a
Sure.
wheelchair. So I was in Wisconsin because there was a bill introduced to protect our kids with disabilities that have no option. And they claimed that there was budget considerations. And basically I lost it. And I said, okay, it's free. And they all stopped. And I said, it's free. I said, I will give one to every school in Wisconsin. And then, much like being able to save my daughter, I said, how can I just do Wisconsin? So I said, the heck with it. I said, we will give one unit to every school in America. So don't tell me budget. It lasts forever. You only need it once. Covers adults and children. It's made in America. And if you use it, we give you a free one. So we replace it free. So
Sure.
there is no reason a kid should die in school ever again.
Right. Yeah, you're
I don't
right.
want to
You're
hear
absolutely
it.
correct.
It's here. It's made in America. It's free. It's proven. You use it or replace it. Stop. I can't take it. I can't keep reading about kids that die in school that don't have to. We got enough problems
Wow.
that we can't cure. We can't prevent. Let's fix the one we can. Last year, I was in Kentucky with a mother whose son choked to death in school, and she wanted to see me because she wanted to not have it happen to other people. And I couldn't do it on a Zoom. I couldn't look at a mom over Zoom. So I jumped on a plane and went out there, gave her my condolences and my support. But I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want our kids to die at school when they don't have to. Like, how ridiculous are we? So I said, frig it, it's free.
Wow.
Tough.
Listen, what I love so much is that you are such a real person here. Like you actually are building this from your heart, from your will, and that is what's so different about you being a CEO of this company versus some other, CEOs. This is passion, and I can feel the passion, and I hear what you're saying to me. You have a daughter of your own, that you would never want something bad to happen. One day, I don't know if you have grandkids at this point. Do you have any
Hey,
grandchildren?
what the heck, man? Give me some time here.
Listen, I'm just
Thanks a
wondering.
lot.
No, I
Holy
get you.
crap.
I
Well, I
have
was
two daughters
liking
myself.
you. You had that great introduction. I was so happy.
Oh my God, listen, I have two daughters myself, and I'm
Any
right now
grandkids?
immediately. What?
How many grandkids?
Yeah. Hey, listen, what am I doing? What are you
How
talking
about
about
your
here?
grandkids?
Listen, so okay, but yeah, so I have two daughters myself, and I'm just, I'm thinking to myself, like, we don't have a device like this in our home, and
Yeah.
I didn't even know about this device until I had the opportunity to sit and talk to you today. And what I'm getting from this immediately, you're right. There's no reason to not have this in my home. There's absolutely no reason. There's no reason why every single home in my development shouldn't have this same device. You're
Well,
absolutely correct.
here's the thing, and
Yep.
it's you're not alone because
Right.
prior to sitting in that room, I never even thought about it. I took the class when she was born, and
Right.
I wasn't the helicopter parent because I don't think she needs to live, but
Right.
I never really was that concerned about choking. And then that night when I went home and I
Right.
found out that it's the fourth leading cause of accidental death.
Right.
So you got poisonings, car accidents, slips and falls, and choking. Who the heck knew that many people choke to death?
That's
It's
right.
5,000 a year.
Nah.
And then I said, okay, now I can't ignore this and say it's 1 in 100 million. It's a bolt of lightning. She doesn't have a lightning rod on her. If that happens, what are you going to do?
Sure.
But I have a fire extinguisher, and you're more likely to choke. I got, cameras. You're more likely to choke. So I said it's best to address something that is to prioritize, right? To make sure we protect them. And the kids and the elderly are the number one. They're the ones who are most likely to choke, right?
Right.
So, but it's just what you said in the sense of everyone said, you got a fire extinguisher.
Right.
You know what? Let your house burn. Get the hell out.
You're right.
Can't run. You can't run from choking.
I don't know why nobody thinks this. You're right. In the moment we moved into the house, you cross off the checklist of all the things you have to get, and you're right. One of the things you always get is a fire extinguisher because you never think that you are going to need a device to stop one of your children from choking. Why don't we think about that? You're right. We will sit there and use our fire extinguisher to put out a grease fire when we can save our lives by getting out, but yet we don't sit there and think, how else can we take care of our loved ones, our children? This is this is mind blowing to me why we never did this.
There's two reasons that I made it last forever. One was my dad, because he worked on the space program, and he's passed, but he would be pissed if I made something that had to be replaced every year. Because we never replaced anything ever. It's still good.
Yeah.
But the other thing was I don't remember. I've always had a fire extinguisher in my shop, and I feel like every time I look at it, it says, recharge.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's okay, because I could just run out, let my house burn. Who cares? If you're choking, you can't look at it and say it expired 2 years ago. And one of my proudest moments for my dad was the guy who saved the baby in the restaurant that was on Inside Edition had that LifeVac in his car for 6 years.
Wow.
And I always say that was my dad's save because, the world wants it to expire so they could sell you a new one.
Right.
I don't see letting someone die because your product expired so you could sell them a new one. That makes me sick. Bingo. And when I told that to the business people, why one of the hurdles, they wanted it to expire every year to put money up or to grease people. And
that is sick.
I said, nah, I'm not doing it.
That is sick.
Said, I don't care. I'll do it my way. Because I couldn't live with myself if it expired. And
of course. Every restaurant should have one of these. Every single amusement park, everybody needs to have one. But the thing is, I see commercials with, so many of these other devices that are out there for so many things, but you're right, choking. No one is thinking about choking, and it happens all the time. My wife and I were in a restaurant maybe about 3 or 4 years ago where somebody was choking, and the father ended up flipping the table and yelling for a doctor, and he was giving his daughter the Heimlich, like this. And I mean, yes, it finally came out. Everybody was screaming, yelling in a panic. But the thing is, had they had your device, they would have been right there on top of it. It would just, I don't understand. You're right. Everybody should have one.
Here, you have a choking story, right?
Yeah.
So no one ever talks about it.
Nobody does.
I talk about it all the time. But if you went to a party and said, everyone have a choke, everyone's going to have a story like that.
That's right.
Here's the interesting thing, though. If you did that with 10 people, 2 of them are going to have a story where it didn't work and the person died. Right? So, man in the street, 10 people, 7 will have an experience, and 1 or 2 will say, the guy down the block, the restaurant, I think he died. They took him away. The kid in grade school, someone will have a death. And that's when you get freaked out about how common it is, because we're just chatting and you have a story.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It really is. It's like I'm sitting there. It's right in front of me, and I can't believe nobody else has ever come up with this product. It's amazing. All these years, all these people that didn't make it, and for someone to finally, really, congratulations, Arthur Lee. This has been, absolutely amazing. I'm so glad I got a chance to sit down and talk to you about this. really has been one of my absolute favorite CEO Unplugs to have done. You have been just your knowledge and everything you're saying is real. It's all right there in front of me, but you never think about it. This is great. Thank you.
I know
Thank you.
you. I know. I'm getting a little chill. You know what's cool? We're gonna get a form someday, next week,
Yeah.
next month, next year, that you saved a life. That this show saved a life, and I'm gonna come bring it to you, and we're gonna laugh, and we're gonna hang
Please.
out. I'm gonna show it to you. Because
come by. You got to come by my show. You got an open invitation. My studio door is wide open for you. Carolina and I would love to have you on.
Oh man, it'd be fun. But the point, I said that to Mike Rowe, and he kind of chuckled. He has saved, I think, 8 lives now from his broadcast. And when I gave it back to him, he said, that was a bold claim. And I said, I knew you were going to save a life. So you're going to save a life, and I'm going to bring it to you, and we're going to share it. So thank you. That's what I'm saying. Thank you. And yeah, I'd love to. We would have fun too.
This has been really cool. All right, so a little bit, one more time about your website where people can really get more information. I want people to go to www.LifeVac, that's VAC.net. Again, that is LifeVac.net. And you actually have a counter on your website there where you continue to count how many lives you're saving by using your product.
Yep, you can see on the bottom, you can check in all the stories too. We document every single one of these saves. And
I can't believe it.
The kids we've saved, like I said, coming up on 900 kids. And
wow.
We've pulled leaves and toys and food and everything you could imagine.
Right, exactly. It's not just right. You're like little kids. They always put everything in their mouth. You're right. It's not. See, immediately I'm thinking choking food, but you're right. Little kids are always putting things in their mouths.
Amazing what they find. The little kid on that was saved on the police body cam was a freaking plastic pretend nail that was in his throat. But that just is another rumor. It ain't just food, and kids will find anything. And I don't know. We got to save them all. That's all.
How many times are they eating on, like, they take a magic marker and they're eating, the top, and the top comes off? I mean, so many things. It's right in front of us. It's right there. It's right there. Wow. Yeah. Amazing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the one and only CEO, the founder, the inventor of LifeVac. His name, Arthur Lee. Remember it well, Arthur Lee. If you don't have a LifeVac, you need to go get one. And again, like I started in the beginning, if you don't make the decisions in your company or if you're in your business and you know who does, get in touch with them and tell them how important LifeVac is. Arthur Lee, I have enjoyed this CEO Unplugged so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I look forward to meeting you someday, buddy. Thank you.
Listen, I'll be out there on Long Island soon, so I'll see you out there for sure.
I love it. All right.
Thanks very much.
See ya.